My name is Jennifer Pillari. I'm based in Colorado in the beautiful Rocky Mountains of the US.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Herstory TV and the Herstory podcast. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Wellington, New Zealand. This morning, I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman coming to us all the way from the United States. Welcome to our tribe. Tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
My name is Jennifer Pillari. I'm 43 and I'm based in Colorado in the beautiful Rocky Mountains of the US. My story is rather complicated, so I am going to try to keep it tight for you. Basically, a year ago, I found myself thrust into a medical mystery, and I was the medical mystery. I was starting to have one inflammatory symptom after another, and it left me bedridden. I couldn't walk. One of my knees was 4 times the size of the other. I was having seizures and all kinds of neurological symptoms. And at the same exact time, I found myself as a single mother of 3, home with my 3 children who needed to be homeschooled by someone, apparently. Wasn't really going to be me. And the business that I run, which is an herbal supplement company, got really, really busy because we have an immune support product. And so last March through May were the biggest 3 months in company history. So at the same time that my health is declining, my children need me, they're declining, have very little access to friends and family. And it was just like the perfect storm of obstacles. And so I kind of trusted my intuition. And one of the things my gut told me when I realized what was going on with my health, which is actually chronic Lyme disease, which I've had since I was a small child. And it was never diagnosed. It was always misdiagnosed or undiagnosed. But it was triggered by mold. I had just bought a house and it had been used as a marijuana grow house. And the HVAC was full of mold. So breathing in the mold is what triggered all of my symptoms. But I had this thought, and it was, you will learn more than you will lose from this. And I have held that thought, and I have really overcome this disease. My doctor thinks of me as a miracle patient. I don't really think of myself in that way, but I have gotten like 90% better, which is unheard of for this disease in this short period of time. And so with that experience and that drive to get better, I have obviously done a lot of learning.
Wow. Your story is amazing. It sounds to me like everything that can go wrong went wrong. And at the same time, business-wise, it was a thriving time for your business. Now, you have been in this field for a while. You have been specializing in these alternative herbal remedies for people. What got you into that in the first place?
Well, interestingly, I was a very sickly child, which now makes sense. I was always my parents' kid who had this issue and that issue. I remember I had mono at the end of high school. I had had alopecia. I was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis. I had severe menstrual cramps. It was diagnosed as endometriosis. Now I know that was actually Lyme disease, but like it's a very strange disease. It'll just show up in autoimmune type ways. So I was always kind of dismissed as like a fairly unhealthy person, just like poor Jen. She got the like crappy gene lottery or something. And I viewed myself that way too. So when I finished undergrad, I decided to get into a health profession just so I could learn more. And acupuncture, I had it a few times and I was just amazed. And I learned that it was like a 4-year master's program and decided, okay, this is what I want to be involved with. So that started my journey. And while I was a student in acupuncture school, I actually was taking a formula, this formula, Cold Snap, that is made by the company that I now own. So I was giving this formula, which is all Chinese herbs, as Christmas gifts to people with no idea that one day I would own the company that makes it. So that started my journey, and I have had been remarkably healthy since then until this last year.
Wow. Wow. Now, COVID-19 has presented any entrepreneur with either an opportunity or danger. And you have been doing all of this single-handedly, single mom, 3 little kids. How do you do it? How do you wake up every morning? How do you bounce back?
Sometimes I really don't know. I have like a really strong sense of intuition about things working out and that things are part of a greater good, that it doesn't just have to do with me. So I've kind of used this issue with my health to raise awareness about this disease, because in my home area, there are so many people who have this disease, and most of them have no clue. They're all diagnosed with MS or rheumatoid arthritis or like a bunch of autoimmune diseases. And so I have just use this as an opportunity to really explore other types of healing modalities too. And it's brought me to some places where a year and a half ago, I thought I knew everything there was to know about alternative healing, and I was wrong.
Wow. So if you were to go back to the younger you, that young woman who made a decision to buy a company, go into business, what nuggets of wisdom would you give her? Let's say there's a young woman who's listening to this interview, is scared, is sitting on the fence, has no idea whether they should go forward or not. What advice would you give her?
I mean, I think that you have to trust your intuition, and also I know how this can sound to people, but I do think this is real, that like ultimately the universe wants what's in your best interest. Even if it doesn't, even if it looks ugly and scary and like a disaster. But I think there's always some force inside of us that's like nudging us to want to be involved with something. And we have to kind of resign to that and follow it, because sometimes I wonder if the reason why that I own my business is not to make me a business owner, but it's because of the value that knowing about this kind of world has provided to my health. And if I hadn't gone into Chinese medicine and alternative health, who knows what the last 20 years would have been like for me. I might have not ever gotten that break from this disease.
Yeah. So you've kind of followed your gut. You've really trusted your instincts in everything you've done. And I guess your intuition is like a muscle, right? You have to use it for it to get strong. And the more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Mm-hmm. And you make mistakes. Awesome. I think that's the other part of it. Like, I think there are parts of me that always tend to act in a certain way, and that fails me sometimes, and that is part of the process. But I have a really good friend, and she just said to me recently, I don't understand why someone like you gets thrown so many obstacles.
Yes.
And I was like, I could see why you'd say that, but that's not how I view it.
Right. So what is your take? Why do you think all these things are coming at you?
I think everything is for learning.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone has the opportunity to be a teacher for other
Right.
people and help alleviate some of their suffering. You have to accept that life is suffering. There's so much.
Mm.
But if you can help someone on their path a little bit and give them hope, I feel like that goes a long way to help you also.
Yeah. So you are right. They say we are given the challenges so we can become teachers, that the universe will never throw anything at you can't overcome.
Mm-hmm.
But some people succumb to the challenges and they can't cope. So this has got to do with your personal attitudes, the way you frame the world, I would say.
For sure. Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with my upbringing.
So tell us a little bit about your upbringing. What is it, your parents, your grandparents? Where does this way of thinking come from?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in a very working class area of Connecticut, which is a
Uh-huh.
state here that people don't think of as working class because there's a lot of wealth there too. I grew up
Right.
on like the other side of the tracks where there was not a lot of industry. Neither of my parents went to college. They had us very young. Um, I think I was born when my mom was 21, and I have an older sister. They didn't have very many opportunities,
Yeah.
but they worked hard. My dad, I remember him working like 3 jobs when I was a kid. And my mom, she just wanted to do the best for her 3
Your
children.
kids. Yeah.
So I always had the modeling of working hard. I didn't have the most peaceful home life growing up. There was a lot of turmoil and addiction and just a lot of things that were rough, but I had a very big extended family. And
Mhm.
then I always just had this grit about me. And I think originally that grit was to get out. I just knew I did not want to stay there.
Yes.
And I knew that becoming educated, doing well in school were my tickets out of that area.
Yeah.
Um, but it's always just kind of been part of me of like, okay, there are problems. Oh, you're not going to make rent this month. Oh, you have to figure out how to pay for this. You have to figure out how to get from here to there. I just did it. And that is how, even as I've gotten a lot more financially comfortable, um, I have never let it make me just like sit back. I'm always looking for like the next thing, or like I have a nonprofit in my head for the future, and I have all kinds of other little business endeavors. It's like my brain doesn't
Doesn't
quit.
actually stop. Yeah. Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. So where do you see yourself 100 years from now? Or let's say at the age of 100, when you're sitting in your rocking chair, reflecting back on your life, what do you think that's going to look like if you could have a conversation with the older you?
I hope that I slow down at some point. I mean, what happened to me last year with my health forced me to
Yeah.
physically slow down. And I realize now that that was another sign from the universe of me not having to do it all, and I shouldn't do it all. So I
Yeah.
hope that at some point I slow down. I don't see that happening for a while. I just have
Mm.
this whole experience has now made me think of all these other things that I want to do, try to reach people. But I would love to be relaxed somewhere with grandchildren and great grandchildren,
Yes.
friends, and
Just enjoying life and taking it easy for a change.
yeah, but also happy to have left a mark, and not in like a way of like physical stuff, but
Yeah.
having helped people on their journeys that have suffering.
That is just absolutely awesome. Beautiful way to end our interview. Thank you so much.
Thank
What
you.
advice would you give to people right now building up their immune system, especially with this dreaded virus that's going around, just before we end?
I think that people have more control over their health than they realize. You can become empowered. You can learn, not to say that doctors don't have value, because they certainly add lots of value, but they are limited in their ability to learn. And, you know, they also are running a business that's
Yes.
a relationship with pharmaceutical companies and doing surgery and things that create profit. But I think that your real power comes in trying to learn about health on your own. And you can eat foods and take herbs and make lifestyle choices that really enhance your health. And for me, it was the solution that the doctors gave me is a non-solution. It's not a solution for anyone with this disease. It just them kind of in a state of unwell. And I really had to kind of set out on my own to find my own solution and never get to the point where I was just owned by this disease.
Yeah.
I'll always have this disease. There is no cure, but I'm never going to let it
take you down. No, it doesn't sound like that will ever happen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this interview, Jennifer. It's an absolute pleasure meeting you. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in. The product, again, can be found on what website?
Oh, we are on Amazon, and our website is ohco.com.
Okay.
Internationally, we're in Alibaba.
Good. I'll definitely put all of these links with this interview.
Thank you.
Reach out to everybody. You have control of your health. It's a choice you get to make. And I think COVID has come to remind all of us of that as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jennifer. Tune in again tomorrow, everybody, when I come back with yet another amazing young woman who has a business from a different part of the world. Bye for now. Thank you again, Jennifer.
Bye.